Alright, how's it going, everybody? This is Apex Gaming here, and you guys requested it, so I'm going to bring you guys one more video. I'm going to adjust my mic really fast. And as you noticed, we are in Inca Camina. Now, for this video, I'm going to make it nice and sweet. Pretty much talked about everything I needed to in the previous videos in terms of information about Delta Force. So, we're going to go over uniforms for the Arctic region of the game, which is Inca Camina. Now, as of right now, what I have is let's see here. Well, for one, and you don't have to, I gave my character a little bit extra hair just because it's a little cold up there. So, in terms of the my tops here, I am wearing a Cryptek Yeti fleece. Now that being said, real life Delta Force, as far as I'm aware, they do use Cryptek camouflage patterns. They also use multicam Alpine, and they also use ATAX ATX. Now, for me personally, I like the Cryptek Yeti, so that's what I decided to go with for the majority of my camouflage. Now, they do make winter combat shirts for the Cry Combat shirts, so technically speaking, if you wanted to, you could go with a, I think it's in the camouflage pattern here, yeah, you could go with a Cryptek Yeti, Multicam Alpine, or ATAX ATX Cry Combat shirt. So, you could do that if you wanted to, but me personally, I only use the combat shirts for when I'm actively in an area where it's warm or humid. So for my vest, I'm wearing the TacTech plate carrier, which is pretty much my standard vest that I use at any given time, and I'm wearing it in Cryptek Yeti. For pants, I have the Cry Precision Combat pants in Cryptek Yeti. For my footwear, I am wearing the Commando boots in gray. Now, if you do not have the Commando boots, the hiking boots in gray would also work. It's just, it depends on what you have and what your own personal preference is, but those two things would work the best. The hiking boots in gray and the Commando boots in gray. The Commando boots, in my opinion, work better, but I know not everybody has the Commando boots. So, for accessories, I am wearing the Revision Bullet Ant goggles in white. They're just some fairly low-profile goggles that just go over your eyes, which I personally like the look of, rather than the ESS ballistic goggles. And that's just to protect from any debris or any kind of snow blindness, per se, that occurs. Now, technically, in terms of lenses, you would probably want something like the either an orange or a yellow type of lens on your goggles, but these will do fine. In terms of face wear, I'm wearing a 2-hole balaclava in white. For headwear, also, if you want, I guess you could wear the 1-hole balaclava, but me personally, I like the 2-hole balaclava just because I think it looks better. And for headwear, I am currently using the Fast Ballistic Helmet in Cryptek Yeti. Now, that being said, technically speaking, you could use any of the Fast Ballistic Helmet variants. So, the Wingnut is a Fast Ballistic Helmet variant, and then, where's the other one? Yeah, the Advanced Ballistic Helmet, that's another one. So, if you want, you can use any of those if you'd prefer. Again, and you could put it in Cryptek Yeti or whatever camouflage pattern I mentioned earlier. For headsets, I am wearing headset C in gray. That is the default headset that I use for my Delta Force builds. For handwear, due to the fact that I couldn't really find any gloves that would actually look thick enough to be used in Arctic scenarios, so I went ahead and went with the Nomex gloves in gray. Technically, you could go with the Oakley Pilot gloves if you wanted in gray, but me personally, I like the look of the Nomex gloves just because I think they look more winterized. And then for the backpack, I went with the Rush 72 in Cryptek Yeti. Um, uh-oh. Woo! I'm gonna have to edit that out. But I went ahead and went with the Rush 72. You know what? I'm gonna leave it in for comedy purposes, just to where people can laugh at my shitty editing. But um, yeah, I went ahead and went with the 511 Rush 72 backpack. In Cryptek Yeti. Technically speaking, you could go with the Rush 24 backpack. I like having the Rush 72 backpack in this region simply because I can carry more with me in my backpack for roleplay purposes. And then, of course, the patch I use for my Delta Force builds is always the Cryptek Spartan Spade. And I have gotten several messages about that. The reason why I use the Cryptek Spartan Spade is because there's nothing really in the game right now that's authentic enough to be considered a Delta Force patch. The closest thing would be the, where the hell is it? The dagger. Because everybody knows that the Delta Force emblem is basically a Fairburn Sykes knife in red with a black background. But unfortunately, there's nothing really close to that in the game. So the thing I go with instead is the Cryptek Spartan Spade, just because I think it looks very badass. And it kind of looks like something that Delta Force would use. So that being said, that's the equipment. Getting to the weapons. Now, the weapons, again, you can go with, in terms of weapons for Delta, I mean, you could go with the P416, the R5 RGP, the ACR, the M4A1, the Mark 17. You could even go with the MDR, technically, now that that thing's been added in. At least for assault rifles. And then for light machine guns, we already went over I do believe I went over the Stoner light machine gun, the Mark 48, the Mark 249. For some machine guns, the SR635, the P90, PDR, MP7, MPX, PSG. Let's see here, the Vector and the Vector 45. And then for sniper rifles, you know, you could use the M48-5. Technically speaking, you could get away with it. The G28, the SRSA-1, the SR-1, the HTI, the Mark 14, the MSR, the Desert Tech HTI, and I guess technically you could get away with the TAC-50 because the U.S. military currently has a variant of the TAC-50 that they use. I think it's called the Mark 15 or something like that. And then for shotguns, of course, you know, really the only things that would make sense would be the Super Shorty and the SPAS 12. I mean, that's really all you got for that. Now, me personally, what I'm using right now is a ACR with a extended buttstock, a EXPS3 sight, full auto / semi-auto trigger, extended magazine, of course, the standard grenade launcher, ATPIL laser sight. I have the short barrel on it just because I prefer my primary assault rifles to be somewhat compact, and then I'm using a suppressor. And I have the entire weapon painted in white. Now, I know not everybody has the ability to get their weapons in white, so the next best things you would probably have to do would be to camo up your weapons. So you have multicam Alpine. I think there's, yeah, EXTP Arctic is in here. I mean, those are really the only other good alternatives. Now, me personally, oh yeah, and then of course you have Cryptek Yeti. Now, me personally, the most authentic thing that you could probably do is, you know, probably have multicam Alpine on there in the event that, I forgot to turn notifications off. God damn it. But, oh man, this is going to be a bad video. But the next best thing you could probably do would be put multicam Alpine on your weapon. That would probably be the next best thing. And then for my secondary, I have a Mark 14 with a stock buttstock, the TARS 101 scope, I have a semi-auto / burst, 3-round burst trigger, a 20-round magazine. I have the angled foregrip on there, or the AFG. I have the ATPIL laser sight, the standard barrel, and the suppressor. So, and then for handguns, the main handgun I always use is the P45T, and I have that with a standard 15-round mag. And then, of course, I have the ATPIL laser sight and the standard barrel and the suppressor. So, now, in terms of a assaulter type loadout, this is probably the best you're gonna get for what you would want. Now, that being said, I am going to, this is pretty much the best I can do in terms of kind of giving you an idea of what Delta actually wears. So, and this is, of course, is their tactical builds. So, now just keep in mind, Delta has always two different types of builds. They have a more of like a civilian-oriented loadout, which is where they combine tactical and civilian clothing. And then, of course, they have, you know, something like this, where it's just strictly tactical clothing. So now we are going to go ahead and go to, oh, let's see. We're going to go ahead and fast travel for this one. And let's go ahead and go to the Cayman's Alpha area. How about that one? Because I do not believe I've showcased I don't believe I've showcased the jungle variant for Delta. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really fast. And then you guys should have all the information you need, actually, to pretty much create a fairly authentic tactical loadout for any, you know, if you're doing milsim or anything like that. This would be a pretty good guide to actually use in terms of what you want to use. So, yeah, I'm hoping I don't get any more notifications because I don't really feel like interrupting the video right now. Good Lord. Alright, there we go. Okay, so, we're going to get right into the edit character thing here as soon as it loads. Thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and change my haircut back to squared away due to the fact that I'm back in the jungle. Now, in terms of what you would want to wear for this area, I would recommend Cryptek Mandrake. Now, that being said, Delta has several different types of camouflage patterns you can actually use in this area. Technically speaking, you could use... well, if it's dark like this, you could technically use multicam black. That would be a very good nighttime camo to use. In terms of anything else, you could probably get away with ATAX foliage green. You might be able to get away with regular multicam. I'm not really too sure about that. I wouldn't recommend it. And then, of course, you have the old 3-color woodland. And then, of course, you have the Cryptek Mandrake. Now, Cryptek Mandrake is my personal favorite. Now, we're going to go with Cryptek Mandrake on my plate carrier as well. Cryptek Mandrake on my pants. And I'm actually going to have forest green boots. Now, again, if you don't have access to forest green commando boots, you can always go up to your hiking boots and make them forest green. And that'll work just fine. I just prefer the commando boots. So, now, one other thing I could use technically would be the multicam Oakley SI ballistic M frames. I'm going to take this bad boy off and replace it with a bandana, something that's fairly breathable, a forest green bandana. I'm going to go ahead and use a fast. Well, actually, you know what? How about this? We'll go ahead and swap it out a little bit. Due to the fact that I'm in the jungle, I'm going to go ahead and wear. Well, no, I'll make this strictly for an assaulter type of build. So you could technically go with Cryptek Mandrake for your fast ballistic helmet. Now, technically, it's actually nighttime, so I could get away with using the scout headset. So, Now, me personally, when I do my milsim builds, we always use the Scout headset to replace night vision goggles because they actually cover your eyes. So we use those for night vision goggles and thermals. So in terms of headsets, we're going to go with headset C, put that in forest green. I'm going to use Oakley pilot gloves in forest green. And then for my backpack, I'm going to go with the oldie but goldie Rush 24 pack, and that is going to be in Cryptek Mandrake. Now, in terms of actual weapons, due to the fact that we are in a jungle, I am probably going to use the M4A1, just because I want something a little shorter. I know technically speaking, the ACR has better handling and all that stuff, but we're going for more along the lines of realism, if that makes any sense. Now, that being said, again, you can use any of those weapons that I listed earlier. So P416, R5, M4A1, ACR, any of those weapons. I'm just making a loadout that I personally prefer. And then for the Mark 14, I'm not really going to change too much other than the actual camo. So, because I am going to go ahead and keep the Mark 14, and then I'm just going to change the magazine there. And then for my handgun, I'm pretty much just going to change the color of it. So I'm going to make everything dark green. And there you go. This is now my a milsim fairly authentic Delta build for the jungle. Now, that being said, you can also, if you really want to, and I'm going to go ahead and showcase this a little bit. If you really want to, if you're doing some kind of like Navy SEAL oriented stuff, I say Navy SEAL as in like, the type of stuff that you would see out of Active Valor. Speaking of which, if you guys haven't seen that movie's really good. Some people didn't like it, but I think people didn't like it due to the quality and just the story was kind of all over the place. The ending's really good though. Anyway, enough with that shameless plug of random information. Now, me personally, in this scenario, I would probably wear let's go ahead and go with a boonie cap. Or a boonie hat, boonie cap, good lord. Oh, I know what I did. I combined watch cap and boonie hat. I got boonie cap. Interesting. Never done that one before. So, yeah, you could basically do something like this. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's probably about as good as you're gonna get. In terms of, I'm gonna go ahead and shave my beard actually really fast, just to, where I can put on some face paint. I'm gonna see if I can put on Charlie face paint and see how that looks. Yeah, that looks alright. I mean, it doesn't look too bad. It doesn't really do anything, though. I mean, I already have my damn face covered, so there's no point in wearing face paint. Not for that. So, I'm just gonna put my beard back. But, this would essentially be my, what I would probably use in different scenarios, for a Delta build. Again, you guys can, kind of modify this to, do whatever you'd like. I'm just kind of giving you guys pointers to what they would use in certain situations. I personally feel like my builds are about as accurate as you're gonna get, given the game's, limited, number of weapons. Technically speaking, the P416 is the most realistic weapon we have that Delta Force currently uses, but the problem is a lot of people don't like using it due to the limited damage. So, but that being said, I do believe I've covered everything in this video in terms of just any remnants of things that I need to go over. In the event that you guys want to see more, just drop a comment in the video down below or send me a message on YouTube. One of those things, and I'll do my best to get back with you guys as soon as I can. The whole reason why I'm making these videos is to try and help you guys out. And, because I know a lot of people are getting into milsim, myself especially. in Ghost Recon, and being able to properly replicate the units is a basic quintessential factor in actually doing proper milsim. So that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it wasn't too particularly boring. I hope the editing wasn't too bad. I'm going to have to edit some of this down anyway. But regardless, I really do hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys want to see more content like this, I mean, be sure to hit the like button, share it with your friends. You know, subscribe if you want. I'm not going to force you guys to subscribe. I mean, I'm not active enough to really warrant, you know, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I mean, I'm not very active as of right now, but I do have a milsim unit on the PlayStation 4 that is Delta Force oriented that I'm going to start doing milsim or milsim live streams and videos and things like that with. Live streams would probably be easier for us, so keep an eye on that, and we will be streaming on YouTube. Now, more than likely, we won't really notify anybody when these live streams happen, so if you guys happen to be subscribed and want to check it out whenever we actually go live, that's cool, but the thing we're most interested in is actually the YouTube archiving system, where it will archive our live stream. That way you guys can see it at a later date. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. So, I hope you guys have a good day, a good night, good morning, whatever the hell time it is. I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you later. Take it easy, guys.